Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It's Expresso right here on SABC3. It's Relationship Monday, y'all. Now, with all the stresses and demands of modern life, it can be difficult to prioritize spending time with your family outside of the occasions like this long weekend that just passed. And of course, it can become even more difficult when you are married and having to kind of manage both sides. But we all know the desire for quality time from our family and in-laws comes from a good place. Question is, do you find, however, that your family and your in-laws demand too much of your time? And are we also asking the ladies in particular, does your well-meaning mother-in-law ask her son or ask for her son a little bit too often? Now, relationship expert Paula Quinsee is in the hot seat this morning to help us with this dilemma. So please feel free to give us a call on 021-430-9881 as we delve into this very important and sometimes tricky subject, because I think a lot of families go through this. Paula, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, and happy Easter to everyone.
Happy Easter. Thank you for spending your off morning with us. We appreciate you so much. But let's jump into the important questions this morning. When it comes to family, how does one find a balance between spending time with your own family, spending time with the in-laws, and just making sure that everybody's happy in general?
You know, it's about finding the balance. It's what works for you and your family, and depending on obviously the logistics of where extended family is, so in-laws and then your own parents, and how you can find time to spend what you would deem a balance in your life with equal, time with each family.
Yeah, I'm sure that this can be tricky, and I think even in our own family, we struggle with this, especially when it comes to the big holidays, the Christmas, the Easter. Yeah. Where do you eat? Where do you go where? But is there something like spending too much time with your family?
Yeah. I think where some people start feeling like it's an intrusion into their privacy or an intrusion into their home, that they can't turn from one place to the next and there's someone in their face. It's about how do you find what works for you and your family and your schedule. Some families, especially nowadays with children, school-going children, weekends you've got sporting activities, school activities, all those kind of things, and you're busy. And so you're looking for some downtime as well. So it's about discussing with your partner what would feel like a balance to you, what would feel like adequate time and fair time with each family.
How do you tell your partner, like, let's say, for instance, their family is always at your house, 24/7, 365, is beginning to impact on your own family life. How do you broach the subject with them?
Look, it's a very delicate one, because when we get feedback, we often perceive it as criticism, so we get defensive. So it's about finding the right time to sit down and have that conversation and being open and honest about what you're feeling. In that, I feel like we're not spending enough time together, just you and I, the two of us, or the 3 or 4 of us, as a family unit, and building our own family unit. And potentially putting some suggestions on the table about what you would like to do together as a family, and then making other time to spend with the in-laws or extended family.
Well, I want to talk about the mother-in-law after this. Of course, I think that this is going to be a really interesting one. Is mother-in-law very, very involved in her son's life? She just can't let go. We're going to ask these questions and talk a bit more about this. Give us a call, 021-430-9881. It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show. Well, it's family day here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We're joined by Paula Quinsee, our relationship expert, to talk about the whole issue of in-laws and spending time with family. When is it healthy? When is it too much? And of course, we're joined by Janine from Boksburg on the line with a question for Paula. Good morning, Janine. How are you? What is your question or comment for Paula Quinsee?
Good morning, Expresso. I actually don't have a question. But I'm getting married now the 28th of April.
Yay,
and we actually, thank you. And we actually put this rule, terms and condition in our relationship. We don't believe in third party when it comes to family. Especially like my mother, she has to put a note everywhere. And I had to put that discipline to say, listen here, I'm going to put ourselves, myself and Sean first. And if there's any problems, most definitely I will go to a counseling, you understand, but not listen to family members, because that can be sometimes trouble.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, if she gives advice, then she'll be angry at him, and then next thing, Sean and I can actually make up at the end of the day, and then it will become a big problem at the end of the day. So the best thing is, if we need advice, we'd rather go to a counselor and not listen to family laws. And especially, with colors, they put their nose everywhere. So the thing is, like we said, that we'd rather work it through at the end of the day between the two of us.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Janine. Paula, what do you think of that? Just keeping it about the two of them and saying to the family, we love you, but just stay there. We'll go for counseling if we need any kind of relationship advice.
I think that's very important in terms of putting boundaries down and having an independent third party help you navigate through the challenges that you're facing. Yeah. As much as we love family and friends, sometimes they can be a bit biased because obviously they want our best interests at heart.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for that, Janine. That was absolutely amazing, and congratulations for your upcoming wedding on the 20th of April. 28th. Let's get in somebody with actual in-laws, because I'm looking for a boyfriend. He's already got an in-law over here. How are you, Mr. Stradle?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
This is Paula.
Hi, Paula.
Paula's our relationship expert. Do you have any questions for her?
I just want to kind of know, where do you draw the line as a family, up and married for a number of years now? So we've kind of chewed through that a little bit, and we're making it work. But we're sitting with a situation where my wife is from Hungary, from Budapest. Her family is there. She's living here now. My family is close by. My mom and dad is here. So there's a break in kind of the connection with her family being so far away, and I have my family close by, which I'm sure, it's difficult for her to deal with, and because also my family, the traditions are different and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to respect that. But how much should I be allowed to spend that time with the family? Is there a number? Is there a specific boundary? Once a week, is it enough? How do you unpack that?
There's no magic number. It's whatever works for you and your family and your schedule that you have. So, especially where long distance comes into play, it is a little bit more difficult to try and manage that dynamic. But nowadays with technology, it's so easy to connect and talk to family. It feels like they're right here in the room with you.
And also cultural differences, in
Absolutely.
terms of how two individuals are raised. One may be raised in the fact that you don't spend too much time, and we come from a very corporate and community way of being raised. I think it's also very difficult to broach that kind
and
of
I'm sitting
line.
in a very interesting situation as well, because now my mom-in-law is visiting currently, but when she comes to visit, it's not for a week or two. She's staying with me for 6 months in the house, with us. But I always say I have the best relationship with my mom-in-law because she speaks Hungarian only and she can't speak English and I can't speak Hungarian. So we nod and smile at each other. We have a brilliant relationship. Yeah, it's great. So we're sitting at this, so we're dealing with this complete opposite end of the scales all the time, which is sometimes challenging, but I think we make it work. We make it work.
And I think you've got an ideal opportunity to connect with her by starting to learn a bit of the language and learning more about the traditions and the cultures and what's important to your wife.
Absolutely.
And that's where you need to have the discussion around what are the important things for her around celebrating her culture, her traditions, her special occasions, and then with you. And then how do you blend that together to find a balance where you feel like both your cultures and values are being respected and represented and blended so that your children learn them as well.
Absolutely, but it starts with you at home.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it is Family Day and we are talking about families. We'll chat more about this after the break and we'll bring Graham and find out what his experiences have been.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Well, it's Family Day on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. And of course, we're chatting to Paula Quinsee, who is our relationship expert. We're talking about the in-laws, the role that they play in our lives. Is it good? Is it not so good? And of course, we're joined by our very own Graham Richards this morning, who's been in a long-term relationship. What's your question for Paula Quinsee?
I know Ewan dug himself into a massive pit a little bit early this morning, so I'm going to try and avoid that. No, I'm joking. I think this is
a safe space.
For me, what I love is that my partner Lindsay, she comes from Newcastle in the UK, completely different side of the world, different culture, and I'm having to learn these lessons as I go. But she is miles away from her family. She's just got my mom and sister as a support structure, and I like to think that we are supportive in that way. But how do you deal with that? How do you deal with where the only person you've got to turn to. And I want her to be able to turn to my mom and to my sister to feel comfortable, but it's not her family, it's not her mom.
Yeah.
She's got a new baby. It's how do you broach that distance and making sure that you can have a relationship with your in-laws, because it's vital.
Yeah.
Look, there's one thing that you can't do, and that's force it. It's got to happen naturally in its own time. So it's about paving the way and allowing the space to happen, but also not underestimating the role that you play as her first port of call and structure, being her partner, especially with a new baby. It's a new territory, and trying to deal with all of this stuff can be overwhelming at times. So it's about paving the way, it's about being understanding, it's about being supportive, and also, allowing your mum and them to step in and help, but also allowing the space for her to just have a little bit of breathing room to step into her own self and her own way of being.
I love that, yeah.
Can I tell you what my biggest fear is in life? Is that I will meet an amazing man, and I will meet his family, and mom-in-law will be so in love with her son, and she will not want anything to do with me. And I think that is a real thing. I think the mother's attachment to her son is a real thing, because you've been the love of his life for so long.
I was going to say, does a girlfriend or a wife replace the mother? Is that actually the thing?
I don't think we want to replace. I just think we want to be our own person in his life. We want him to have a good relationship with his family. But sometimes that mom-in-law, it's a real thing, hey?
You want to feel like you're the number one.
Yeah. For all the women out there who are dealing with overbearing mom-in-laws and who don't know how to actually sit that person down and say, listen, I think that you're too involved in our lives. You just need to let me be the wife, let me be the partner. How does one go about that?
It's a very touchy situation. Got to be handled with kid gloves, so to speak.
You're feeling it.
Can I leave now? Can I go?
No, I think you should stay there.
Moral support.
First thing you do is don't give an ultimatum. Ultimatums never work.
Oh,
If
it's me
anything,
or your mom,
they
decide.
end up going the wrong way. So you don't want to give an ultimatum. You want to be able to sit down with your partner one-on-one in a very neutral environment, in a neutral space, and say, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like I'm not a priority in your life, or I'm feeling like, I'm not seen in the same light as your mother. And it's not about comparing yourself to the mother. You will never ever be mom. Mum was there first and foremost, and blood and flesh, and it's a different kind of relationship to being the partner and the wife. They are both equally important roles, but they have very different roles in the man's life. And it's about learning to find your place with each other, learning to build a bit of a bond and a relationship with mom over time. Remember, it's going to happen over time, not overnight. So manage the expectations. Don't force it. And there's little things that you can do to build that bond and that connection. For example, asking for the favorite recipe, I don't know, what's your favorite meal?
Spaghetti
Peanut butter.
bolognese.
Spaghetti bolognese.
Boom.
So boom, get her to learn how to make it mom's way, and it'll build not only, straight to the man's heart,
Lindsay,
through his
your
stomach.
spaghetti bolognese is the best in the universe. It really is.
Oh, thank you so much, Paula, for being here, and of course helping us just delve into this each situation of in-laws and family. But we will catch up with our relationship talk again next week, Monday, same time, same place.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Clearly, we've got one more segment. I'm so happy. I'm going to invite the guys in one more time with us. I do have a question, though. I have got a situation in my own life with a friend of mine who actually is forbidden from seeing family based on a situation that she had with one of the family members. He's now not allowed to hang out or spend time with his family, which is causing great sadness to him because he loves his family. But wifey will hear none of it until someone apologizes or someone, just the first person to bend, but it's not going to be her. What do you do in a situation where you really want to spend time with your family, but you're trying to respect your own home and keep the happiness within your own home, but you know that this is breaking down little by little by little? Do you bring in a third person to help kind of mediate the situation? Because clearly speaking in your own home is not working anymore.
I would say in a situation like this, definitely bring in an independent person to help mediate the process. Because if it carries on like this, it's going to end up building resentment. It's going to fester, and the gap is just going to widen and widen, and it's just going to turn ugly.
Yeah, sure. With both sides, of course.
Yeah.
So communication, basically. So it's very much kind of a priority to get together as a family, you and your own family at home with maybe the in-laws or your parents, to get together and have that discussion, because sometimes that's a very difficult conversation to have. So what I want to know is, because I think a lot of people, like you mentioned, kind of abstain from that. So like, well, I'm not going to talk about it because I don't see a result or an end result in that.
It's not the culture in my family
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
I think it starts with you and your partner. The two of you need to sit down and go, what feels right for us? What is important to me? What is important to you? And then how do we respect that? How do we put those boundaries in place? How do we respect that? And then how do we communicate that to our respective families so that everybody knows where they stand with each other?
Absolutely.
sure.
Well, I always
Thank
say,
you so much,
what do
man.
they say? Communication is the healthy road on which all relationships travel. Boom. I think I said that. I'm not sure. Thank you so much, Paula Quinsee, for being here. We'll chat relationships again next week, same time, same place.
Relations.
That was great.
That was good.